Shalom Aleichem. My name is Rabbi Gedalia Zweig. I will be your narrator in this second documentary from the Jewish Heritage Project. We invite you to watch The Awakening of Judea and Samaria. Today, you will witness the great spring of Jewish life in the so-called Jewish settlement communities of Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank. This is the land at the cradle of Jewish civilization, the very land where the promises were received by Abraham, the father of the Jewish people, saying that his descendants would inherit this land. Now, almost 4,000 years later, those promises are now being fulfilled before our eyes, as we can see the ancient map of Israel is being reassembled on this land as it was in the days of Joshua. Ancient communities and places are returning and are beginning to blossom before us. Let us start off now by first hearing from Daniela Weiss.
The number one forcing power, pushing power, motivating power, guiding power of what is going on in the hills today is Rabbi Tzvi Yehuda Kook, Arav Tzvi Yehuda Kook, who is the leader, the spiritual leader of our movement of Gush Emunim. So indeed, many people joined, some of them are called religious, some of them are not religious, and indeed the lasting motivation of always building here, clinging to these hills, loving them, being dedicated to them, it goes hand in hand with religious roots and with religious motivation and realization. The Yom Kippur War had its special individual characteristic, the fact that we were taken by surprise. I mean, the Jewish nation was taken by surprise on the Day of Atonement, on the day on Yom Kippur, when we all Jews pray, where we all fast, so close to God, then we get a slap in the face from God. We hear this siren telling us to go to the shelters. I felt it was a direct call from God to do something that we didn't do up to that moment. And I translated it in one way only, and as awakening alarm, awakening call from God to go to the mountains, to go to the hills, to go to Shilo, to go to Beit, to return to Tcoa, to return to Dutan, to return to Elon Moreh, to return to Shechem, to return to the heart of our homeland. It wasn't an individual call. It was an awakening call for a nation. We all pray for a good future for our people that will come soon with no suffering, just with the happiness of building the land of Israel.
We learn in the prophets that it is written, "And they will yet again plant vines on the mountains of Samaria and drink their wine."
Hi, my name is Tcoa, and welcome to Nachalat Binyamin Visitor Center, Psagot Winery.
You know that wine, it's a very, very interesting and very deep thing. Here in Psagot Winery, we focus only it's a boutique winery, and we focus only in a very, very high quality wines. Millions of people around the world believe in the Bible. They believe in Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and believe the stories, and they want to see where it's happened. Only when you walk the land, when you take a look, when you visit, you can understand really the morality and what standing behind. And this is what we're trying to do here. We in Psagot Winery, we start with 4,000 barrels a year, and now, thanks God, we're making more than 100,000 barrels a year. And we're trying. We see that every year we have demand from. It's not only Jewish people all over the world. We're selling to more than 10 countries around the world. we believe very much that this land is a blessing land, and it's not by mistake that we can produce such a fine wines here. We believe that when God says that this is a blessing land, that's part of that we have a blessing in what we're trying our best, and we do everything by the book. And this, our vineyard is located 900 meters above sea level. It's wine, and thanks that God also from his side, we believe that he blessed this land, and really you can see the results in the wine. Thank you again.
Thank you for coming to Psagot Winery. Come soon.
And those of us who live here, we're aware of it, not enough. And those who come from overseas really don't get a chance to see all this. You see in the media, all you hear about is the violence or whatever, or the politics. And look what we have here. We have internationally award-winning wines. We have great chocolates, gourmet chocolates made here. We have a band that represents a yeshiva types that you won't find anywhere else. Great music. People don't put it together. Maybe when they see an invitation that says jazz, wine, cheese, and chocolate, might not make sense because they say it's in Judea and Samaria, it's over the green line. Can't be. As the world looks and thinks of us as these crazy people and so on, all of a sudden along comes a yeshiva like this, producing guys like this, and it shows them, you know what? Everyone's being lied to. This is the first, hopefully not the last. Thank you for coming. Chanukah Sameach.
One of the great miracles of modern day is the discovery of the ruins of ancient Shilo. And not only that, but in the valley of Shilo they have found the location where Joshua set up the tabernacle, also known as the Mishkan, that was in the wilderness of Sinai, which contained the Ark of the Covenant. Here in Shilo rested the Ark of the Covenant for 369 years, until Shilo was destroyed. A few years later, King David rose up and later made Jerusalem the capital of Israel. He brought the Ark to rest in the place where today we call the Temple Mount. Now in modern days, Shilo has been rebuilt, and some good Jews in Shilo have also worked at reviving ancient crafts and traditions. Joe Bezier recreates the flutes with the same wood and design as they were used in the ancient days of Israel. And Suri Provisor has successfully revived the craft of ancient spinning and weaving.
It's just taking these fibers. God blessed the world with a lot of bounty and materials for us to use to create what we needed. It's all there. We can't be blind. We have to see all of the materials and what can be done with them, because everything is there for us. Now this is how it's spun. Don't forget the Mishkan was here for 369 years, and people from all over Israel used to come up to Shilo and bring their gifts and their first fruits and everything and their sacrifices. And this is the place. This is where Hannah came with Elkanah, the whole story of Samuel's birth. Hannah came to Shilo during one of the festivals and asked for a child. So we recreate that feeling. We make huge festivals on the holidays, and visitors come from all over Israel. And we have tons of craft workshops and ancient crafts. We do spinning and weaving, and we have flute making and hair braiding and tambourine workshops and drummers and actors, and it's really beautiful. Great music, and you really get the feel that you're in ancient Shilo. Here we are in ancient Shilo. The area settled on the bottom, and here is modern Shilo up the hill.
Malachei Levona, located northwest of Shilo, is another revived ancient community near its ancient site. Yossi Maimon, a founding resident of this community, tells us what it was like starting out.
1983, I had in Shilo a horseback riding business. We used to give tours on horses, and we toured the whole place around. Sound impossible? That's the way it used to be. In one of these tours, we were down here in the valley, and I noticed a hill. Was it just a hill? And I felt like I want to see the hill. So I left the group, and I climbed all the way up here. Turned to God and said, "Oh God, please, I'm ready to give anything to build my home here." I don't know how long I sat here, but 2 weeks after, I realized that God hearing prayers, because my wife took a ride with a guy which told her that there are plans to settle this hill, and they're looking for families, young families, in order to do it. And she turned to me, and that's what she said. She said, "Listen, I took a ride with somebody who told me that." And I said, "Where's the meeting?" She said, "Tonight, here." No? So I ran to the meeting, and I heard the guy talking. And at the end of the talking, I turned to him and said, "Okay, when can we start?" He said, "Who are you?" I said, "Well, we'll see, whatever." He said, "What do you do?" I said, "I have a horseback riding business." "What are you going to do with the horses?" I said, "Oh, don't worry about it." I gave it up. And basically on the same very night, I gave up the horses to my partner, and I started to work for a year in order to make this happen. A year after, Independence Day, 1984, we got the permit to move and live here on top of the mountain, 4 families. And that's the way Malachei Levona started. I felt like returning back here is returning back to the pages of the Tanakh. The Tanakh was written 3,000 years ago. But actually, we continue to write it today.
Today, on the land where God first spoke to Abraham, saying, "To your descendants I will give this land," we have communities like Elon Moreh and Itamar that are now beacons of Jewish light on land where few Jews go. Despite this fact, it was here where Jacob and his sons established the first Jewish settlement when they came from Haran. The name of that settlement was Israel. It has taken special dedication and strength to settle here in our time, but the people are resilient and productive. Let's go to the Zimmerman family farm in Itamar and hear from Rachel Zimmerman.
My name is Rachel Zimmerman. I live in Itamar, and this is my organic farm. I've lived here for 28 years, and I'm from Toronto, Canada. I'm a mother of 10 and a grandmother of 6. I've been living in the settlement here for 28 years. the way that I came to Israel was through India. I was on my way to India. My meditation teacher heard the news of the Peace Now movement that had a demonstration in the square of Rabin today. And when he heard that 2,000 Jews were demonstrating for peace, he said to me, look for that group. After all, you're a Jew. One day, I was on a demonstration against Hebron, in Hebron. And the Rabbanit, the Rebbitzin of the settlement, Hebron, took me inside and said, I want to show you something, come here. So she took me around and she said, do you see that house? Do you see what's on the doorport of that house? And I said, yes. And she said, do you know what that is? And I said, no. She said, that's a mezuzah. That's a Jewish home. And an Arab opened up the door and looked at me with such hatred. And then she took me to another house and she said, look up there, do you see that? And I said, yes. She said, do you know what that is? And I said, no. She said, that is a special way a Jew builds his rooftop. That's a Jewish home. And then she took me to the museum in Hebron. And then she said to me that for 2,000 years the Jews lived in Hebron. And they were kicked out from the time of the Second Temple till 1929. In a massacre of 1929, there was Jews there all the time. Nobody took anything from anybody. And then I realized that I didn't know anything. So I wanted to come back. And I had stayed at the Levinger house and was moved to the Horowitz house in Kiryat Arba. About 30 years ago, there was a terrorist attack in the Beit Hadassah hospital in Hebron, and my husband was in that attack in Hebron. He was wounded, and 6 of his friends were killed. Zvi Glant died in Alon's hands, and my eldest daughter is named after him. We got married in Hebron. Rabbi Avichail Ronsky, who was the chief rabbi of the army. So Rav Ronsky brought us here. This, the area that you see right ahead of you, with those cubicle houses, was the beginning of the settlement 28 years ago. There were 5 families living here. There was no electricity, no water, 1 telephone for the whole settlement. This is a pond that fills up in the winter. It's filled up quite a few times over. It's about 1,000 coop, and we use it to water our plants. And we decided that we wanted to grow fish in there. How do you manage a farm like this? But it's really not me. It's actually Alon. Alon is a very intuitive man. He knows where he's going. He knows where he came from. He has the vision that the farming in Eretz Israel is going to be self-sufficient.
The struggle to settle this land has often come at great sacrifice and heartache. Many Jews have been murdered and terrorized by their neighbors. In a certain house on this street in Itamar in March 2011, terrorists passed by the fence and entered the Fogel family home and murdered the parents and 3 of their 6 children. The horrible terror attack put Itamar on the radar screen of Jews around the world. During the Shiva week, the Prime Minister, politicians, journalists, and others came to Itamar, many of whom had never been here or seen this great land. It was as if God himself was using the Fogel family Shiva to call a gathering of notable Jews to this location 60 kilometers north of Jerusalem. It was almost as if God was saying, Shema Yisrael, this is the land where you began. Here I first spoke to your father Abraham in the land, saying, to your descendants will I give this land. To here I brought your father Jacob, when he came from Haran, and he purchased this land. To here I commanded Joshua to bring all the children of Israel, with the women and children, after crossing the Jordan River, in order to affirm Torah observance by Israel on this land. And here Joshua buried the bones of Joseph on the land promised to him by his father Jacob. The effort to settle this land comes in many forms. Here in Netzer and Gush Etzion in Judea, Nadi Matar is part of a great struggle for the land. By planting trees for the redemption and the safeguarding of Jewish land against Arabs and foreign entities that help them with money, equipment, logistics, and physical work, the Women in Green Women for Israel's Timor organization is a leader in efforts at preserving the Jewish ancestral land in Judea and Samaria.
Women in Green, up until since it was founded in '93, after the Oslo agreements were signed, and we felt that we had to be the voice of sanity, the voice of Zionism, and we had to basically demonstrate. That's what we did. We demonstrated up until the destruction of Gush Katif, trying to convince them that we're doing this for them, and they should at least share in the expenses. Now here, unfortunately, you see areas where the Arabs already took over. 2-3 years ago only, and you could.
Olive trees? What are those trees?
The trees that we planted there were olive trees. After the destruction of Gush Katif, we did a lot of thinking, and basically a very large majority of our public despaired. And another group, which I'm part of, led by Rabbi Levinger and many others, said we sat together for hours, you don't even understand, just to try to understand where we went wrong and what we did and what we should do now for Judea and Samaria, because we understood in 2005 already that the next battle is Judea and Samaria. They're not going to. We don't need Eretz Yisrael because of security. We don't need Eretz Yisrael because we grew beautiful tomatoes in Gush Katif. We need Eretz Yisrael, it is ours because God gave it to us, and the land belongs to us, and that is the message we should go forward with. So a few groups, the Hilltop Youth, from those meetings, a few groups divided with the same idea, but everyone did something else. The youth went to live on the hilltops, to build houses, etc., and I'm sure that you're visiting them and you see them. You have Efrat, you have Elazar, but you have all those hills in between here that used to be, a few years ago, empty. Those are state lands, those are lands that belong to the state of Israel, most of them. The hills, the problem is that after Gush Katif, we saw that all of a sudden, if up until now a few Arabs went up on the hills and worked with a donkey, all of a sudden we saw massive equipment, heavy tractors, fancy modern stuff with a lot of signs by the European Union. We gave here $10 million for the redemption of the Palestinians, or for the help of the agriculture. All of a sudden, after Gush Katif, the Arabs understood, and the left and the anti-Israeli organization, that the way to get to us is by basically taking over all the hills in between the communities, and thus getting to a point where we will choke. If Efrat can't grow, if Elazar can't grow, which Elazar and Alon Shutra, I'm going to show you now, I hope you can see it, are supposed to merge between the two Yishuvim with those hills. If the Arabs take over, basically we call it the agricultural jihad. In addition to building tens of thousands of illegal Arab homes, which another organization is dealing with, they're called Regavim, and they go to court and they fight it, we found out that not only is the illegal Arab building, there's also illegal Arab agriculture. And then a tzaddik, a righteous, an incredible guy came from the Galil. Let's maybe do something else. Let's try agriculture ourselves. Save the state land, and I'm a farmer, so I'll do it. And we joined together, Women in Green, those friends of ours, and this farmer, and we got a map. Here's the map of the area that we got. You see this main road? That is the main road from Jerusalem to Hebron. And this is the community of Elazar, which we are just next to, and Alon Shfut is right there. And we got a map with all those pink spots. All those pink spots are areas of plots of land, state land, that belong to the state of Israel, to the future of the Jewish people, that still have not been stolen by the Arabs. Over the years, but as you can see, if Alon Shfut is here, the community of Alon Shfut is here, and Elazar is here, and those hills were meant to be for the expansion of the Yishuvim for one day to merge together, the Arabs, from their point of view, very smartly put their foot in between, trying to prevent Jewish continuity between the two Yishuvim. And we figured, let's try to at least save what we can save and prevent the Arabs from cutting off Alon Shfut and Elazar. And we started first little by little, raising some money, etc. And according to the map, to redeem the land by planting. What is Gush Katif? I had the honor, and God sent me really a partner, which Judith Katzover. Judith Katzover is one of the founding members of Hebron. She was basically, after 67, the government didn't want to, they didn't know what to do with this present from God. And they didn't want to settle. It's the individuals who took the initiative, like Rabbi Hanan Porat, Zichrono Livracha, and Rabbi Levinger, of course. And Rabbi Levinger said, as you know, I know it's famous, but he said we have to right away go back to Hebron.
The re-establishment of Hebron has taught us that success is in the hands of those who take the initiative.
Hi, my name is Noam Arnon. I live here in Beit Hadassah in Hebron. Well, you know, Beit Hadassah is a very, very special place in Hebron and Eretz Israel at all, because the Hadassah organization, the Hadassah famous hospitals, actually began here. It was in 1912 when the Hadassah organization decided to open a clinic in Hebron. That actually was the first clinic in the Palestine and Eretz Israel at all, and they served the Jews and the Arabs here in this community. Well, Jews and Arabs lived here many, many generations, but there was a pogrom in 1929 when Arabs massacred the Jews here, and then the survivors were forced to leave the town. Now, when we came back on 1967, the Jewish quarter was destroyed. The Hadassah building was abandoned and empty. So brave Jews began this initiation to bring the Jewish life back to Hebron. Rebbetzin Lemringer and her friends came here to this building in 1979, beginning this community again, and we then came to organize and to take care for this community. I live here 37 years with my family, and I came here as a young student. Today I'm here. Thank God we have children, grandchildren, and the community is growing, and people come, and many, many people want to come to live in Hebron because they feel this is a very, very important place for the Jewish people, for the Jewish history, and for the Jewish future. Because you can't have a future without having a past. And here is our past.
So, one day, a group of women, led by the wife of Rabbi Levinger, decided the time has come. They took a ladder, brought it to the Kasbah, right here under the building of Beit Hadassah, entered into the building, cleaned it up and stayed the night. Morning comes, and one of the patrols of the army noticed them here. What do you do here? We're returning back to Hebron. No, you can't. Yes, we can. An argument, pushing, shoving, whatever. At a certain point, Menachem Begin, Prime Minister of Israel at that time, says to them, you want to stay? No problem, stay. But nobody leaves and nobody in. We're going to seal the building. And they stayed.
The amazing thing is that 10 women and 40 children were held up in Beit Hadassah for 1 year.
Hi, my name is Chibat. My mother and my father name is Miriam and Moshe Levinger. Then we moved when I was 9 years old to Beit Hadassah with my mother. My father didn't come. We were only women and children there. Now I'm in my house in Susia, in Har Hebron. And I remember the days in Beit Hadassah, and it was so fun for me as a child to be there. They made a lot of things for us. A lot of young people came and teach us a lot of things. I remember these days as paradise.
My name is David Wilder. I grew up in New Jersey in the United States. I've been in Israel now for about 35 years, living in the Hebron region since 1981. I've been working here now in Hebron as a spokesman for the Jewish community for the last 17 years. How did I get to Hebron? After I got married, my wife and I, that was back in 1979, we believed it was important for Jews to be in Judea and Samaria. And rather than talk about it, we decided to do something about it. And so at that time, in 1981, we moved to Kiryat Arba, just outside of Hebron, lived there for 17 years. And then about 13 years ago, we moved down here into the community itself. You know, there's one thing that's very, very important that people should know. I received numbers about a week and a half ago from the police here. They keep statistics. They keep the numbers of people that come to visit here in Marat HaMachpelah, the Tomb of the Patriarchs. 2 years ago, we had about 500,000 people here. Last year, we had over 700,000 people. All of those 700,000 people, I can't say they left the same way they came in, because Hebron does something to you.
I came here as a young student everything was destroyed. The whole place was demolished, and the Arabs located sheep and donkeys and goats pen right on this place. It was stinking, it was terrible. Professor Tavger, Zichrono Libracha, he began to dig to find the shul. He was cleaning the shul. He was arrested several times. But later on we got the permission. I was here in charge of the excavations here, and thank God we found the shul, we found the synagogue here. It was destroyed, but it was existing. I remember when we found the pillars, we found the walls around. Now later on, we got a permission from the government. We had to have a special permission to renovate the place. Today, thank God, the Avraham Avinu Shul in Hebron is rebuilt again. It's active, it's a living place.
The Jewish festival of Hanukkah is also known as the Festival of Dedication. It is symbolic of the struggle being undertaken in Judea and Samaria to settle the land against all odds. Yes, despite almost the whole world being against them, and superpowers taking active measures against their activities, they have failed to stop the great settlement work. Indeed, it is now beginning to spring up, creating a new Israel. Let's return to Netzer, where nothing seems to discourage Nadi Matar and Yehudit Katzover and the other dedicated souls who came to celebrate Hanukkah on a night filled with rain.
Welcome to the Givah HaShalom. Well, we like to hear that you can sing.
Will come out to make a statement, to make a Jewish presence, to show a Jewish presence in those hills, even in those very difficult conditions. And I can say that all our friends here, like the Maccabees, are not afraid to say the land of Israel belongs to the people of Israel, given to us by the God of Israel. And on Hanukkah, this is a strong message. On Hanukkah is a message of strength, and it is great just to be here. It is great to be able to talk to you. We invite everybody to come here. Rain is a blessing from God, and Hashem is blessing us and telling us that He is giving water to the trees and giving us the strength to continue to plant and fight and build the land of Israel.
The re-emergence of modern-day Tcoa on the land of ancient Tcoa is another jewel in the crown of Judea and Samaria. Tcoa is located in eastern Gush Etzion in Judea, about 15 kilometers south of Jerusalem. It was not only home to the prophet Amos, who was a herdsman in the fields of Tcoa until the day God called him, but we also learn in the Tanakh that Yoav, the commander of King David's army, brought a wise woman from Tcoa to speak before King David, to convince him to bring his banished son back home. Let's hear from two more wise women from Tcoa who are helping to build up the house of Israel.
We are in business with education of children, and children come from the Yeshuvim here, and also a lot from Jerusalem, also from the rest of Israel, and we have a lot of people from America, France, and all the world. They have family, or sometimes just hear about here, and they come from the bar mitzvah of the son, so they want to do something, all the family together. We can let's ride the young children from 2 years old, and also their grandparents. People come here for some time, just one time, just to have fun, and with all the family together. Sometimes they come for therapy. We have people that have autism, or children that suffer of all kinds of illness. Sometimes they are in a rail chair and they have all sorts of problems, and the horses and my team here can help them. You're welcome to try it if you want, and you're welcome to visit here. Thank you.
Oh, shalom. My name is Dalia Sarah Fried. This is my son Akiva Simcha. My husband and I, thank God, with also the help of many other Jews around the world, built a project which is a kindergarten. It costs around 500,000 shekels to build a real quality kindergarten for kids that can't afford a private gun, and yet they don't want to compromise with the quality of the education of their kids. We have only about 18 kids in every classroom. We have a teacher and an assistant and a Rebbe who comes and teaches the kids about Torah and the Aleph Bet and everything with the atmosphere of love of Hashem and happiness to be here in Eretz Israel. In the back we have goats and some chickens. So anyway, I bless all the Jews around the world, or anyone who wants to help the Jews in rebuilding Eretz Israel. And we should hear very good news very soon, shortly. Amen. Shalom.
Dolev was built almost 30 years ago in 1983 by Gush Emunim. 7 families, they gathered together and they came to this hill. It was an abandoned hill, nothing was here, and they built the settlement from the beginning. Now Dolev is 250 families altogether. Dolev and Talmon, the settlements in Western Binyamin, are really connected to the era of Hashmonaim. The Hashmonaim lived here in this area, in Modi'in, in Dolev. This is the area. They lived here, they fought here, and all the chapter of the Jewish history of the Hashmonaim actually happened here. If you can see through the window, you see the beautiful hills of the section of Israel that is called Binyamin, that was belonged to Binyamin tribe in the past. The Ulpan Dolev is one of the major projects that we are doing to contribute to Am Israel, to contribute to the Jewish people. Those girls that we are dealing with them here, if Ulpan Dolev was not here, the girls were in the street, and we helped them build their lives again. We do it because we believe that a community that is standing for itself and is not contributing to others will not last forever. So we want to contribute. We are really doing things and projects to contribute to Am Israel and to contribute to the weak in society in order to allow them to have a better future. Dolev is southwest from Ramallah, and we are here even though it's not easy to live here. We are here because we believe that this country belongs to us. The kushan of our people for Eretz Israel is the Bible, and we live the Bible in every day, and we teach our children that this country is ours, and we need to do everything that we can in order to stay here, in order to have Yehuda v'Shomron integral part from Eretz Israel.
The ancient map of Israel could not be considered rebuilt without the re-emergence of Beit El on its ancient site. Beit El is where Jacob had his dream of a ladder to heaven. God spoke to Jacob in that dream, saying, "The ground upon which you lie, to you will I give it and to your descendants." In 1977, descendants of Jacob, students from the Merkaz Harav Yeshiva, came up the hill to settle this land. As a result, modern Beit El was born. It was in Beit El that Arit Sheva's IsraelNationalRadio.com English broadcast was first established, and has been an excellent source of honest and true information coming out of Israel to the Jewish world.
Broadcasting from Bethel, Itamar.
The land of Israel belongs to our children and our children's children and our children's children's children. It is an inheritance that we got from God.
Today, Beit El is home to almost 6,000 Jews. Up the road from Beit El is Ofra. Ofra is another revived ancient community. It was here that the angel of God appeared to Gideon, saying, Go with this strength of yours, and you shall save Israel from the grip of Midian. Indeed, Gideon against all odds was able to save Israel because God was with him. Modern-day Ofra was established in the spring of 1975. It was the first Jewish settlement community built north of Jerusalem. Today Ofra is home to more than 3,000 Jews.
Shalom, my name is Yonatan Bahar. I'm originally from New York, Jackson Heights, Queens. I live here in Har Bracha. We were the 13th family here. My wife is from Toronto, Jackie. We have 6 children. Our oldest daughter, Yael, lives here in Har Bracha. She has 4 of her own children. We're standing on Mount Gerizim. We call the mountain Har Bracha. Har means mountain. Bracha is blessing. Why do we call the mountain of blessing? Because when the Jewish nation entered the land of Israel on the other side of the Jordan, God commanded the Jewish nation to come to this mountain and the adjacent mountain, which is Mount Ebal. And this was on the first day of the entering of the land of Israel. God commanded us to come to this mountain. Half of the nation, 6 tribes, stood on this mountain, on Mount Gerizim, and the other half, the other 6 tribes, stood on Mount Ebal. And down below, in between the 2 mountains, is the city of Shechem, which the Arabs today call Nablus, but the biblical name and what we call it is the city of Shechem. And the priests, the Kohanim and the Levites, the Leviim, stood down below in the city of Shechem with the Holy Ark. And they said they pronounced the blessings and the curses that are written in the book of Deuteronomy, in the book of Devarim. Blessed be the man who does such and such, and cursed be the man who does such and such. When they said the blessings, they faced this mountain, Mount Gerizim, and after every blessing, the entire nation on both mountains yelled out, Amen! This was sort of like a second Mount Sinai, a second receiving of the Torah, of the Bible, when the Jewish nation was entering the land of Israel, whose purpose was to remind us and to keep fresh in our memory what our purpose here is in the land of Israel, which is to fulfill the word of God. And therefore, when we're coming into the land of Israel, we have to be reminded what our actual purpose is here in Israel. That was a couple of thousand years ago, and now to bring you up to date, about, let's see, 1984, the community of Har Bracha was created. It was first started by a group of people who belonged to Gush Emunim, the block of the faithful, which was which was created by Rabbi Tzvi Yehuda HaKohen Kook, who was the Rosh Yeshiva, the head of the Yeshiva of Merkaz Harav, the son of Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook, who was the first chief rabbi of Israel. He told his students in Jerusalem that it came time to close their Gemaras, to close the Talmud, to close their books, and to go out and settle the land of Judea and Samaria. Today, all of the big communities in Judea and Samaria, whether it be Beit El in Binyamin, or Kidumim, or Har Bracha, or Shilo, all of these settlements were started by the students of Rabbi Kook, who listened to his instruction and went out, and each one settled and started his own community. The community of Har Bracha today, thank God, numbers close to 300 families. A far cry from the 13 when we first came here.
We are now standing on top of Har Gerizim and are looking down into the city called Nablus. And there is the tomb of Joseph. This is a photo of Joseph's tomb in 1912. It was in the middle of a field. The land was desolate for most of the past 2,000 years. Only in modern days did the gates of Arab immigration open, allowing this location to be populated as it is now. This is also the location of the ancient city of Shechem that we read about in the Torah. On May 9, 2013, at Emek Tzurim National Park in Jerusalem, people descended on the lower slopes of Mount Scopus for a special yearly event called the Moskowitz Prize for Zionism. It was established by Dr. Irving and Cherna Moskowitz as an expression of support for people who put Zionism into action in today's Israeli society. People whose activities contributed to the Jewish world, especially in Israel, and for future generations. The highlight of the evening was the Lions Prize given to Rabbi Moshe Levinger, whose faith, dedication, and strength resulted in the establishment of the community of Kiryat Arba in 1971. This set the standard that indeed Jewish settlement of Judea and Samaria, which appeared impossible, could not only be done, but flourishing communities could be created. It was only needed that dedicated people take the initiative.
יונתן רזאל, בבקשה.
קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל
תודה, תודה ליונתן רזאל. יוענה כעת לכבוד הרב משה לוינגר.
Rabbi Moshe Levinger said, "We must be totally devoted and sacrifice ourselves with all our strength for the love of the people of Israel and the land of Israel." Now let's be a witness to the blossoming of Judea and Samaria, the land of God.
קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. כי במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי בשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. כי במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי בשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. אני קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי בשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי בשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. כי חסדך גדול עליי, כי חסדך גדול עליי, והצלת נפשי בשאול תחתיה. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. קטונתי מכל החסדים
The return by Jews to Judea and Samaria has been a success story of God's faithfulness. And now today, the glory of this spring of Jewish life in Judea and Samaria is being revealed to the world, so all will know and be a witness that the natural inhabitants of this land have indeed returned. These are the Jewish people, establishing themselves on the very land where their nation was born. The struggle by the nuclei group, called Garin Elon Moreh of Gush Ebenim, to establish the first Shomron community, sent the message to the Jewish world that dedication, action, and faith in God has the power to change the facts on the ground forever. The slogan of Gush Ebenim was simple: the land of Israel, for the people of Israel, according to the Torah of Israel. So it was, on Hanukkah 1975, Kedumim was born, on a bare Shomron hill with 30 trailers. The great struggle to establish this Shomron community in essence was the true birth of the settlement movement as we know it, and thus began the race to resettle the ancient Jewish homeland.
You see where I'm standing here.
flowers, houses. This was a barren hill, not a bird, no tree, nothing. We came here 37 years ago to Judea and Samaria, and I remember the skepticism of the society in Israel. If we can overcome the difficulties, if we can do something. Look what's going on. You saw in the video the communities, the life, the development. I can tell you that along all the years, we witness and cope with the same skepticism because of all the political issues and the world pressure. And always people say, it won't work, you can't do it. But we are only growing and developing and going forward. And the secret is that we feel the burden of the responsibility of making this place Jewish for the sake of Israel. And the secret is the emunah, the mesirut nefesh, the self-sacrifice of the people who come here, us. And thank God you saw the youngsters, the children. We are here 4 generations. The success is when you see your children and grandchildren follow your wake. When you see an idea of people that the children continue your idea, it means that you are on the right way. And this is the case in Judea and Samaria. Our children, our grandchildren live in the communities and go to the hilltops and go to more difficult places. This is the success. We believe that in a few years we will be 1 million Jews here. And as people say, we are not an obstacle to peace. We are an obstacle to the annihilation of Israel. We are the solution to the safety and to hold Israel forever.
And we must remember the miracle that God gave us after 6-day war, that we thought it's the end of Israel, it's the end of state of Israel. And what a miracle we had in those days. As a child, I remember it. And I beg you to remember the miracle we had on these days, that we are still in Eretz Israel, in the land of Israel, holding the land of Israel for all the Jewish nation all over the world, not for the Israelis, for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for the end of the Jewish nation. Wherever you are, please come to visit Israel. Come and make aliyah to Israel. I know it's not easy time. Never it was easy. Most of the Jewish people, since the destruction of the temple, were not in Israel. It's not easy to leave home, language, culture, friends, neighbors. But remember, God gave us all these years miracles, and we have to just open our eyes and look and appreciate that He's still with us and give us chances to move, to come back to our homeland. So we're waiting to see you in Eretz Israel.
והיא שעמדה לאבותינו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו, עמד עלינו לכלותנו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו, והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו, שלא אחד בלבד עומד עלינו לכלותנו, eternity.